Okay. Well, I'll call the Economic Development Authority meeting to order Tuesday, October 18th, 12 p.m. First thing we'll do is a roll call. We'll go around the room and introduce ourselves so everybody knows who everybody is. I'll start Tom Marsluck.
Michael Sommerfeld.
Matt Smith.
I'm Dr. Sonia Tourville.
Jay Hawk Thompson.
David Meyer. John Thompson.
Jessica Bonniwell.
Steve Griffin, city planner.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda? Matt, that's going to have to be you.
Yep.
Okay.
Sonia.
Sonia?
Second.
All right. We'll go pass, that passes 3-1, 3-0, I guess, is all we have here. So I don't know if this is really worth doing this. So let's do approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
So move.
Okay. Second?
Second, yeah.
Okay. Motion passed to approve the minutes. Treasurer's report.
Currently in the cash account, we're sitting at 196,681 and change. And then in the revolving loan fund, we still have the 257,754 and change.
Okay.
So, and the only thing we're moving out of there lately has been just the
Pizza
pizzas
costs,
for
yeah.
the meetings and,
Okay.
I don't think any admin fees or anything like that came out since earlier.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, old business, to preserve update.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have included in there there's an old RFP for the preserve that we used back in, I believe, 2015. So staff is going to use kind of this template to update the RFP so we can get that back out. We just wanted to kind of show you what we're working with, and if anybody has any suggestions, additions, subtractions, anything like that, just let me know. We'll probably be doing this within the next few weeks.
Now, we have a revised housing market study too, don't we? Something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, from Neil Lindscheid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, the more good demographic data we can get in there, the better. So, okay. All right, so you think that'll go out
Probably
By
the
the end of
latest
November?
December, yeah.
December?
I just wanna make sure we get enough time to go through that, but yeah.
Okay. All right,
Maybe November, but for sure December.
okay. All right, new business, luxury car condos. Who wants to run with it first?
Go ahead first.
Kind of explain a little bit what it is, what your thoughts are.
The last couple years, my dad, Hawk over there, has been looking at the luxury car condo concept. You go to Medina, you'll have Automotoplex there. It's been there for a while. I think it's a trend that's building. People that have built those have a waiting list and are working on other projects. Some of them in the state, some of them out of the state. A year ago, or just a little over a year ago, I started looking at adding a training facility to that project called SPEED, Spirited Educational Driving Experiences. So the concept is kind of like if you think of a golf club community. I've got friends that are snowbirds that just left to go to Naples, Florida to be on that golf course house. And going to Automotoplex is basically like a car show community where they got their luxury toy box and they get to decorate the toy box the way they like it. It's designed to entertain at a high level. And then like once a month or whenever they want to, they kind of have like a community, everybody open their garage doors and people walk around and get to look at what's in there. What I noticed going there last November, I went to the last event that they had there. Everybody sees all these fun cars and they all are pent up with some testosterone and there's no relief valve for it. So Highway 55 gets some relief, you know, people start leaving marks on the road, so to speak. And what we're looking to do is have what I call a zero liability practice facility. So just think of the biggest parking lot you've ever seen. Nothing to hit, no light posts, no curbs, nothing. 2,000 feet long, 800 feet wide. And now people that are into motorsports have a place to practice Monday through Friday. I've been doing a competition called autocross since I was 15. My dad started in the 70s doing autocross, and it's a low-cost, entry-level, car-controlled motorsport. So think of like we've used Valley Fair parking lot a couple times a year. Set up a course with traffic cones, gates, and link them together, put a laser light timer, set up 140 cars, trying to get 6 laps in a day. And you go one car every 20 seconds or so they never see each other. In your first and second gear, typically, going all out, coming out. Since 9/11, a lot of the facilities that we used to do autocross at became unavailable. We used to do the International Airport, huge concrete slab. Logistically, that went away. Prices to everything doubled overnight. So back in the 90s, we used to rent Canterbury Downs' north parking lot for like $800 for the day. Overnight, it became $1,600 for the day. And we liked the size of that lot somewhat, but it was like pea gravel. It was a terrible service for trying to have sticky tires and go fast. That lot today is like $4,000 for the day. Prices keep going up, sites keep diminishing. This would be something that would cater to that community, where with this size of venue, I could probably have 3 or, at least 2, if not 3 or 4 events going simultaneously on the weekends to bring in, 200 to 600 competitors. And then you have the people that would be in the Motoplex compound around it are there, I don't know if they're there for the weekends or during the week, or if they want to go in and, some people have officed out of, their buildings and other such stuff, but this is also a place to train teenagers, police, everybody that needs to do some, if you have to do some type of special maneuver, it's a place where you can practice and miss your mark and slide and nothing bad happens to you. So we've been looking around the cities for venues that are big enough. And then we're looking at venues that are more cost effective. I think the reason we're in this room now is the facility that we're looking at is right next to development, which has the upside of potentially being closer to water and sewer and taking that cost down. And the challenge is, do any of these people want this in their backyard? That's our biggest question for today is, we want this project to be welcomed and people in the town to be excited about it. I don't want pitchforks and people mad at me. I got enough of that.
We don't either.
Yeah. So that was our, the plot's big enough. We're looking at, somewhere around 100 acres in that ballpark. But it looks like this is part of a development, community, and we're kind of wondering where you guys are seeing that plot go.
Well, I want to ask you a question about your course, I'm gonna
Yes.
use the word course instead of track.
Yep.
You know, when you do, you know, I used to do SCCA autocross, and you're in a big asphalt parking lot.
Yep.
Now, you're not talking about all of that being asphalt, you're talking about just putting asphalt where the actual course is?
Talking about the whole thing being open.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
About 40 acres of just,
Okay, so
I see that.
you have the opportunity to change the
Change it
the
out,
course
yep.
every,
Oh,
okay.
God, yeah.
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 And Tom, one of the other advantages to that is that when you've got a space that big, now you can do your fire and rescue training. You know, your fire trucks, your ambulances, the guys that need to, you know, they've got, I'm sure they've got requirements for driving that they've got to have that kind of thing. You know, we intentionally don't use the word track because it's the
Sure,
the
yeah.
volume, you know, John can tell you from running these courses that the volume just isn't there. I mean, you could be standing outside of this, and the way we've got this kind of configured with the car condos going around the outside and maybe some berms built in as well, there's not gonna be a bunch of noise next door in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
It's just not there, you know?
Yeah.
The last one I went to, you know, you go out and you run the course, and I don't think I heard a tire squeal for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a little bit, but it's
Right.
really.
We're
really
driving
good.
hard, but
And
we're
it's
not-
all stock vehicles.
Yeah, we're not at
Yeah,
full
I mean-
song going sideways and dirt with 40 guys and,
Yeah.
you know, that's
And
already
some-
out there. That's-
Yeah, and some of the other stuff from an economic development standpoint is obviously we're bringing in a pretty significant tax base because we're talking, how many units?
Well,
Depending on what.
right now, I think we can get about 200 in this and make it work. And the unit is designed as a fourplex, so it's got common zero lot lines, so you're splitting the cost of, you know, the land and everything is gonna be, you know,
Four ways.
designed to
Four ways, yeah.
be utilized as best we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, do you have any year-round residents at these?
Yes, these
You
are
do.
gonna be, what I'm gonna have, we're gonna just send you some things around and you can kinda look at it.
Let's just start with those two. So part of the place that John mentioned earlier, in Medina, they really aren't allowed to sleep overnight there. They're not supposed to anymore.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, they're not supposed to. You know, it's because it's not supposed to be in residence. So part of what we're looking for is something that we can have some flexibility in the zoning that will allow us to have that happen, because the way these are designed, you can have bedrooms, you can have kitchen, you can have a patio up on top. He's got built-in solar to keep the energy costs down.
Geothermal
And
heat.
geothermal heat, so, you know, trying to have as little impact as possible in that regard is important too, so.
Would these be rentals or purchase, or they're for sale,
Uh,
rental?
These are real estate duties.
Yeah, so that's yet to be determined whether or not we'd be able to do rentals with them. You know,
I don't
think
see
it
it.
depends on the community, if they would want to allow that. And of course, that's something, you know, there's gonna have to be an association designed with it, with some parameters on what people can and can't do. So that's one where you might end up saying, okay, you can have rentals, but you can only have a certain number of them, percentage-wise, which wouldn't be unlike any other townhome association or condo association. And you put a cap on it at maybe 25%, and then that keeps it from being an issue.
So Jess, this would, or Steve probably, this would be more of a, along the lines of a PUD then?
Yeah, to do a mixed use,
Yeah.
in your, in a PUD's area.
We were looking in Big Lake, and they looked at the course as adult motorsports outdoors, as far as zoning. And I know the mixture is unique, but we know that on the front end. I think that's why it's gonna be popular, because it doesn't exist in nature anywhere.
And we also envision that it could be an AutoZone type, you know, a Napa or somebody like that, a parts store that's right next door, or part of the complex even. You know, a mechanic shop that's right part of the complex. Those are things that we think could be built into this to make it more attractive and more community friendly.
How about other things like restaurants,
Yes.
adult
totally.
entertainment. You know, I'm
Yes.
just thinking,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
this is a bedroom community,
Yep.
and like axe throwing, brewery,
Yep.
these people who are at home all the time,
Yeah.
to get out of their houses, but not have to travel, would be,
Yeah.
that would be something that I would love to see here in the community for the people who are in this bedroom community and work at home, because that's a changing environment.
So I've got 5 boys.
I'm sorry.
Four to 12. And I've been autocrossing since I was 15. I'm 48. Right now, autocrossing it's grassroots. It's 140 volunteers that the clubs, as they sit, decide to try to get us all a work assignment. So you got 70 guys going to go find their work assignment, 70 guys driving, and then you switch a couple of times. There's no place for kids, there's no place for my wife. It's, it's a Sunday where I'll leave my house at 6:30 and I'll get back at 6. Okay? For 6 minutes. Track time. But I'm a junkie, so I do it. But I think this when we look at this project, having a clubhouse that's designed to cater to 200 to 400 people that would be at a competition venue, and then we want stuff for kids of all ages and everybody else that daddy's racing. But my kids are outside doing something in a playground or having fun, and my wife's having a latte. And, I see like starting out with, I like local food trucks. I like, typically the food that they have. I live in Northeast, so I have breweries aplenty. I can throw a football and hit 3 breweries from my house. They usually have food trucks that come and they let people rotate. And most of the food truck people do a great job with food because they don't have the overhead and they can go spot stuff. So I'd rather just come in and let the local community thrive, and not have to have, staff when we don't need staff. And I don't know how many people are going to be the Monday through Friday crowd, but I think it's going to be a lot of people because there's something about, if you haven't been on an autocross course, it's first and second gear, but you're always turning. Okay, and you're trying to get this close to cones at 40, 50, 60 miles an hour.
I just ran them right over last time, so.
And it's more fun and more intense than the average person does. So once people have an experience, I think word of mouth goes, and right now there's no practice facility. There's on-ramps and off-ramps, and that's where, the community doesn't want you practicing. But, I know what I did from 21 to, I grew up, whenever that was, is the whole world was one. But here, if you have a place to go, and, I want this to be accessible to the average person where it's not a huge fee. It's like $100 gets you 6 laps, and 6 laps will be plenty, here. And then even having exotic rentals and other things where you're renting the use of, who here's driven a Ferrari or a Porsche
Right.
or, high-end stuff
Yeah.
and would like to, but, the rental of one for a day and the insurance and all that, here, you never sees the road, but you get to go fast. I'm not gonna measure your tires before and after, but like a $200 or $300 experience where the whole thing's videotaped and you get to go take some hard laps and stuff, that venue isn't out there. There's things that are close and they're high-speed track events, but as soon as you put stuff to hit, people hit it. Whether it's other cars or walls or whatever, and now you need an ambulance and you need, all the insurance and all that stuff. I want to make a place where if you have the worst case scenario, you slide 50 feet, there's still another 50 feet. before anything tangible to hit.
Yeah, you're not gonna put any light poles in the middle of
No light poles, I mean, we might have light from above strung somewhere if necessary, but I don't need to do it at night. Or you can practice night driving and it's a different animal, but all you're gonna hit is cones.
So another point with this is feasibility. So I was talking to a gentleman who, was talking about the Medina complex, and he said, well, the Medina complex, part of the reason that works is there's a lot of money right around there. And you get out this far to Montrose, and maybe you don't have the $1 million houses all over the place like you do there. But part of the draw with this is, how many car clubs is there?
About 40.
Yeah,
There's
you've got 40, 50
hundreds.
car clubs in the state of Minnesota alone. Could it draw some people from Iowa? Could it draw some people from
Definitely.
South Dakota, North Dakota, maybe even
Chicago.
Wisconsin?
We've gone to Chicago.
Right now, we go to Dakota County Technical College, they have a road course, training course in their backyard. It's 1.7 miles long, so it's long. It's 15 feet wide in most spots. And when you get done with that, you're either on gravel or grass or both. And, I like going 65 miles an hour around a turn and going down a hill. But there's days where it rains. And when I don't miss by much. I might miss by 3 to 6 inches, but that might be enough
That's enough, yeah.
to put you in the wet. And now it's a very intimidating place to start. One of the reasons I like this is the clubs locally are they're maxed out. The reason why we're capped at 140 drivers is you can't get with their model of not having staff. So here I have staff running the course. So the person that wants to come and do competition, we can get 100 and some cars through in 4 hours that it takes them 10 hours to do, because we don't have changeover. We don't have people forced to work. People watch some young kid that wants to go run around. You're gonna get a lot of, time back, and it'd be a lot easier to tell my wife, I'm gonna be gone until noon.
Yeah, so the clubs
And we
is a
come
draw, because that's a whole base for us, a foundation for us to be able to run that portion of the course. And you might have guys that say, Bo and Hawk and I decide, yeah, you know what, I like this idea, I like going out there. Why don't we go together, form a little LLC and buy this condo? And so you got 2-3 guys buying one condo, now it's more affordable. You don't have to have $1 million in your pocket in order to do it, because they're gonna be large enough that, each one of us has 2 cars, they fit. There's room for them.
And a lot of people at
I've
the
actually
automotive
asked
place
for
are
permission to
opposite.
speak,
Yeah, there you go.
which is hard for
Been
me to
doing really
do.
well.
There's bankers that are looking for these kind of loans. I met with one the other day, and he was involved with a project called Wolf Run Autobahn. And they were attempting to put this down in southern Minnesota, right off of 35W. They were working on it, and I never met the lady, but she was referred to me when she heard about what we were doing, and we've been talking back and forth, and they've had nothing but hellacious challenges with the local people and so on and so forth. But what we're proposing is non-threatening to the community, because if we do it right, they're not even know we're there. And,
Part of their challenge was they were pitching it as a racetrack.
right,
And high speed.
People
And
don't
high
have a
speed.
racetrack right next
Yeah,
to
I mean,
them.
yeah, I used the term track when we first started talking,
Yep.
so yeah, I get it.
Yep.
so there are people that will loan money on this, and this gentleman that I met with, his family's been in the banking business for 100 years. They are, he was involved with that, but he said, Hawk, he said, not in my backyard. I said, if we could get it, he says, call me if you can find a spot. I'm in. I don't know what the heck that looks like. I texted him back, I said, thank you for buying lunch, and we will play somehow, some way, but,
What would SCCA sanctioning get you?
I'm not sure, because I haven't looked at, finding a place. Once I have a place, then I'm looking to make connections with a lot of clubs. I know the people at Minnesota Auto Sports Club and Corvettes and Minnesota Club are the two local clubs that I'm the most involved with. And, talking to them about logistics and what they're looking for, and basically want to find out what they're, what they're paying for the places that we have been using. But, right now, they do their national event in Kansas, using airport strips there. The Super Bowl of Autocross is 1,500 participants. 2-day event, well, probably 3-day event. So they have a north and a south mirrored opposites. So this one you go this way and this one you go that way, and they add the 2 days together and they kind of get 1,500 participants, but they only do 3 runs, per person. So it's higher intensity. But I think that our local communities always wanted to do this. We talked about maybe even going to Canterbury Downs and saying, what if we collected the money to pave the thing, just to resurface it? Because, Valley Fair just went away. I mean, they haven't put a dime into theirs, and it's, huge. And it was fun until it became just Craterville.
Until it wasn't,
Yeah, we didn't even finish the last event without having to change the course like twice because the ground fell out from underneath us. So I think that they're, I would have a bidding war for calendar space. I even think I can do this during the winter because I can control the surface.
Yeah. And things like driver's ed. Okay, you need a place for kids to learn how, now they can do it here without any danger of wrecking mom and dad's car.
And actually learn car control skills
Learn car
instead
control
of
skills, yeah.
the rules of the road. The
Or-
rules of the road and car control are 2 different avenues.
Motorcycle training. That's another one that could be. There's just, we've got we've kind of brainstormed on different ideas of what we could do, and we really need to put that into bullets, because there's just a whole bunch of different ones that we've come up with of how this facility could be used and beneficial to the community, and not something that the community doesn't want.
yeah.
That's our main goal.
Jay's got his hand up
Yeah.
again, so.
I believe if we can prove this business model, we can clone this all over the country. No kidding. I mean, it's just an idea that makes sense.
So, let me ask you a question. Due to the proximity of the residential area, taking into account what they said about noise levels and all that kind of stuff, are we talking public hearing probably?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You'd actually need to amend your comp plan and rezone it to a PUD to create that
Right.
district, and that would
Right.
be
Okay,
at least one public hearing.
yeah,
If we anticipated that.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That way, you're on the hook to answer the questions of the public,
Sure.
because, they will have ideas from one end of the spectrum to the other, so, understanding you're kind of in the middle here, so.
Let me hit on one other quick thing, because the Medina facility they're basically steel buildings that you can finish any way you want on the inside. But Bo is here, and he's one of our team members, so Bo, can you talk a little bit about the construction piece of this and what this looks like in terms of the actual physical building?
What I'd like to do, Bo, is give them one of yours with each one of ours,
Yeah,
because that's a combo.
pass that down. Yeah, so I represent One-Step Building System here, and let me get one of these to everybody here.
Thank you.
Yep. Everybody got one? Okay. Two? All right, there we go. All right. So what we do is we have, like it says on the front, high-performance buildings. And essentially, we are strong enough because of the grouting inside of our buildings. If you turn to the third page, you can see a full picture of what it looks like. It's similar to an ICF. What we do, we do have some similarities, but we have one major difference, is we actually utilize the thermal mass on the inside of the building to our benefit, which creates energy efficient building, unlike many of the buildings that are built on soil. Our lead energy scale system is at the highest it can get. The only thing higher you can get is building something underneath the earth or in the side of a mountain. We're strong enough to survive an EF5 tornado. All of our testing's been done over in DC. We do work with, we do government work. We've done stuff in Canada, all around the country. We've got almost 400 buildings built. Our buildings, we could utilize anything that the concrete plants can manufacture as far as face block. We can put into our system, and they have the option of choosing the exterior and the interior different. So
Do you have a sample?
I do have a sample,
Okay.
and it's in my truck.
Yeah.
So we lay our blocks like a typical cinder block with several similarities and obvious differences. The major difference is we don't have the center webbings in there, and that's what creates that continual vapor barrier. We are waterproof. We have done water treatment facilities, and like I said, we're tornado proof. In Kansas City, we did the Kansas City Fire Department. They wanted a building that was tornado proof. And with the lid that they chose, the roof that they chose, they have a 100% tornado proof building. It'll survive any tornado. And they did that so that they could be active during an active storm to help people in their community. Our buildings, that's why we were built. That's why we started this. I mean, we hold mountains back. Up in Niagara Falls, we built a building to hold the falling debris, because Niagara Falls is constantly shaking the landscape, and the mountains over there, the hills, are constantly dropping debris down in the building where they have the community center where people go from Canada to the United States in ferries. So we're very strong, and like I said, the energy efficiency is one of our most popular benefits of this, and we're cost effective. As far as finished cost, we're only one trade. If you look at the, we've got the exterior facade already built into the unit. We've got the interior facade already built into the unit. We've got the insulation, the weep cavity, the vapor barrier. Everything is built into this system so that when it just requires a mason. When the mason installs that unit, all the electricians have to do is run it in the raceways, and then it gets core filled. And that's our building.
ICF has sure come a long way.
Yep, like I said, it's close to an ICF, yes. But we utilize the thermal mass on the inside. It's kind of like when the sun hits your sidewalk outside your front door there, and it's still warm at night. It's projecting that energy. And that's what it's collecting, is that in that thermal mass, it's collecting that energy, and it's producing one of the most high efficient, energy efficient buildings out there. We're also going to be utilizing this light bar. It's a fiberglass rebar. It's lightweight, and pass this around. It's lightweight, and it's stronger. The testings show that it's stronger than steel, and it outlasts steel. So, because steel does corrode within the concrete structures. So that's one of the other things that Jay had brought in as well. But yeah, I mean we build high rises. I mean, on the front we did a 17-story high rise. 2/3 of the building is actually cantilevered on that 1/3 because of the way that the landscape was.
Tell them about the church.
Oh, Aberdeen, we built a church in Aberdeen, South Dakota. They had a 750 square foot building there for their community, and they were paying about $1,500 a month on their energy bills. And they knocked it down. They wanted a larger facility, and so we built a 1,500 square foot facility. And after 10 years, they uncovered that their energy bill was cut by about 90%, which means that their building has already paid for itself. So that's another one of the benefits of using a material like ours. And ICFs are very similar. But like I said, ICFs it's a great product. They really are. but utilizing that thermal mass on the inside, and the lead time on this material is, it's much shorter than having to build with your typical tilt-ups, where you need the construction crews, you need all the manpower, and then you need the large equipment to put it into place. Whereas this just requires your typical scaffolding and just your masons on site. Yes?
One of the things that I like is that this product weighs, a normal block weighs 55 pounds, and the standard block, our product, weighs 33. So if you're hauling and throwing, I'd rather throw lighter weight than others. But the other thing that's really exciting about what Bo has got is that he now has a 24-inch block. Now, what does that mean? My building is designed on a 30 by 60, size, and that's 2 feet. What that means is instead of laying in 37 blocks, you're only laying in 30. So this product also comes knocked down, so you can, instead of getting, I don't know the detail on this one, but if you put, free-form block, you may, what do you get, 100 of them on a pallet?
Sure.
And we can get, what, how many, 200, 300, 400 on ours?
We can typically get 3 or 4 times that, yeah.
So we can cut shipping costs, transportation. It's about as green a program, there I'm using the green word again, as possible. But, I mean, it's, when I saw this block product, I said, holy moly, this is what I'm gonna build the buildings out of. Now, our cost per square foot finished is phenomenal. I've talked to people that build with stick built and everything, can't touch it. And the fact that it's gonna be able to be, soundproof, bulletproof, it's what, got a 5-hour fire rating. It's like, it's the only way to go.
Well, back when they first came out with ICF, there was usually a 10 to 12% increase to the build cost. So obviously yours is cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are the only block that can handle a 24-inch unit. So we're the first company to come out with a 24-inch unit because of the weight. We eliminate those center webbing, and that cuts down on the weight there. So it's pretty amazing. We built our first build out in Napa. A gal lost her home to the fires out there, and she wanted a fireproof building. And so she got a hold of us, and we built it for her. So it's a beautiful building. But the 24-inch units are fantastic. The masons love them. They're not incredibly heavy. They're only about 48 pounds, so they literally can lift that up and over, the rebar for the house. So it's fun to hear the success stories that the masons have. And we've never heard. We did a Chevy dealership out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and one of the questions I asked was, what'd you think of the product? And the guy said, well, one problem with it. This is the foreman on the job. I said, what problem? What's that? He said, well, when it comes time for tearing this thing down, this thing ain't coming down easy. But he said, he also said, we haven't gotten into any fist fights with the electricians. Because if you know anything about masonry and electricians will come in, they'll put their runs in, and the masons they're not ready for them. Or the masons, they're out to lunch, or the electricians are out to lunch. This way, they don't pour it until the electricians come in, and they can actually, that raceway is open for their conduits. And obviously, it works out. It works out, and our builds build much faster than your typical construction. That's one of the other benefits. We're typically about 30 to 40% quicker on the build, so which means the project will be done faster. And typically, one of our selling points to our product is if you can get your building finished faster, you can get your clients, whoever's going to be living there in there quicker. So like the hotels, they can get their rooms rented faster by using our product, typically by months, and they look at that as a benefit. We did Sitka, Alaska, we did a school or a firehouse up there, I can't remember, but we finished their project, and we were $700,000 under budget. So that's,
So it can be higher end, but more cost effective. I mean, higher end results, you'd be impressed, but
well,
if we can do it
and
cheaper.
and as a builder myself, any stick or steel frame construction, it's very easy when you know how things are built, how to get access into one of those buildings. So your steel frame pole buildings, thinking that you're, $2, $3, $4 million worth of
Toys.
cars and toys in there is safe. Just with your keys on a hook, they're not. And so with a product like ours, there's very few access points to break in without, triggering some kind of an alarm. Whereas, I mean, I'll just give you an example. Anything built with tin or steel, you just peel back that metal and you break right through the interior wall and you're in. And it happens all the time, all around the country. So try to find ways of spending more money for you to secure
Yeah,
the
less
contents
secure.
inside by doing it from inside the building instead of doing it up front.
Yeah.
And so that's another one of the benefits that we have for people of, that we're,
Means, yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
And
And
it's important.
So I'm
And people-
assuming you're looking at a phased approach here, so like how many buildings would you put up initially and what would your phased approach be?
well, I think we would work with Realtor and what we're looking at as far as, I think we're looking at 3 phases or 4 phases?
We would like to start out with at least, the way that is designed around the track is my building site, each unit is 100 feet by 160. So if you have the 1,000 foot, we'd like to put, 10 buildings in or 40 units minimum. And then, of course, depending on the site layout,
We would likely start on the side where the residential stuff is, because that would create the buffer right away.
Buffer, yeah.
right,
And so
And
that
working
would be
with it.
phase one, would be that as well as the track. Once the track is done, it's
Don't
up
use the
and
word
running.
track.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
course?
sorry, once the course
Training
is,
course.
the training course is done, it's up and running and we can start utilizing that right away.
Yeah.
So the course doesn't have to wait for the condos to be done. We could be working on those while the course is up and running.
Yeah.
So does, question on the course, would there be lights on the course? Would there be
not
certain
on the
times of
course
day they
itself,
can't
no.
run on the course?
Well, we would probably be able to put some type of, with LED light packages nowadays, we could probably put some, there's gonna be a security fence around that course that's gonna be custom made out of treated plywood, and it's gonna be 6 feet by 8 foot panels. And there's a reason for that. One, I gotta have the height for protection, and I wanna sell the space on those panels for advertising. And there's 750 panels around that track twice. And I could see us getting some, even solar powered, LEDs now. I used to sell LEDs, so the technology is phenomenal, where they could have, downward light, but not inside the track. So that's
I'd be
another
looking at
aspect.
some lookout towers on the corners, basically, because, the sport is, if we're out of crossing, did you hit a cone? Who hit the cone? Because there's a penalty attached to it for competition. So having a viewing center with, I look at it as either gonna be east-west or section 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on, how many clubs how many slices we cut it up into, because it's all bigger than what people are used to. And if we have some connection points where we can have some lighting overhead, like on strings or something like that, that's a possibility, but I see it mostly being during the day, and if cars are out there, they got headlights, driving at night is something to practice too. So
So there wouldn't necessarily be light pollution? 'cause
No.
it was a big-
No, we've been
Dark.
doggone sure that that wouldn't be a problem.
Some of the ideas in my head are like a Wednesday.
Have you heard
Wednesday night or a Friday night, you know, track night, but I also,
have as big of lights as possible.
yeah, I also think that for the course itself, we gotta move
If we
dirt.
need light, we'll put them on the cars.
Yeah. If we gotta move dirt, I think we're gonna move down and move the dirt up. So thinking of it more as a bowl already, so even just being, you know, at whatever the light is on the surrounding buildings down would be sufficient. And I don't, you know, if we need to put, you know, later in the day, you know, that's okay, but right now, we autocross the zoning restriction for us at Dakota County Technical College is that from 50 feet, we can't be 100 decibels. And out of 140 cars, we might have one or two that come anywhere near 90. Most of them are at like 60 from 50 feet. And that's from, you know, the main road out there, County Road 42 is 1,000 feet away, you know, minimum. And that place is wide open, so this is all, you know, concrete buildings around there are gonna control all that sound too.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about SCCA sanctioning, because they usually set all those parameters.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
You know, dB levels and all that.
and I haven't had those conversations yet.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have, you know, the world know about that from a club perspective.
So one last thing related to the buildings themselves, because one of the things that is important to at least recognize is that a lot of the times the folks that have the means to be able to do something like this and that want something like this are maybe a little bit older. So what Hawk built in was a little.
I'm older,
two-person-
and I don't like
two-person
steps.
elevator. Two-person elevator. It'd sit in the corner of the condo, it'd go up and down, so, you know, if you have folks that, maybe, you know, their main residence might be a single level townhome somewhere, and, you know, when they come out to the condo, well, I can't go upstairs, I can't go on the patio up to on top, but now you got the elevator, so that would be another.
Yeah, and when you're entertaining and people look at your stuff and you go, I'd like to give you a ride, you just go right down there and get on the course, and, you know, it's open for those type of things where people can have a different type of experience, you know, taking kids out and other stuff. It's like, no one gets hurt. You know, the most dangerous part of this is trying to get there on the road.
That's right, yeah.
So there you go.
Have you already talked about interest, Tom?
I'm sorry?
Have you already talked about interest?
Interest?
Yeah, from people.
From our perspective, you mean?
No. So
From
what,
the
just
public?
from your experience, what is your interest level that you've experienced from people who would want to purchase these or move in? My concern would be that you get halfway through, the interest kind of fades out, and then there's a half-finished product that is out there.
Just with the building that doesn't
Sure.
get torn down.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, what's the waiting list right now for buildings like this?
Bruno, the gentleman that has he has the most units, he's been doing this for about 11 years now. He's got a facility, and I gave Tom a brochure. Can you just pass that little brochure around?
This one, or this
Yeah,
one?
That one,
This one?
yeah. He's got a waiting list between 200 and 300 people. His unit, that unit that he's got, the basic product there, as you turn it over, is 32 feet wide by 42 feet deep, 20 feet high, with a mezzanine. And he finishes that product off just sheetrock with a giant door and a side access door. And he gets almost 300 grand for that, just sheetrock. And then, if you look the other side, they'll spend 200,000 or 300,000 to tune it the way they want it. And all they have, in my mind, is a glorified aircraft hangar that you're partners with a bunch of guys. Now, our product is not going to be,
I think he's on phase 6 right now, and there's 8 total phases in that
Right.
complex.
yeah,
So he's
and,
getting towards the end.
yeah, and
So what's the max when he's done?
I'm not sure what that one is.
You know, I'm not sure.
But the reason his product is so expensive, in my mind, is he's got this giant overstressed roof system with millions of square feet of rafters that looks pretty, but you're paying for it. Every square inch of this puppy is functional.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of wasted space.
Oh, God.
And there's no entertainment there.
And
I
the
mean,
key to
literally
this,
no community center of whatever. I mean, you have
Is I'm
common
giving-
roads to walk around, but,
And
I'm
they have
giving
a
the
giant
people-
waiting list for that is what you're.
yeah.
I could go to Bruno today, no kidding. He doesn't know about us yet, but he's gonna very shortly. That brochure that you saw, I produced that and I got it printed in one day and nobody knows we're out there yet, but they're gonna start to know. And I could go to Bruno and say, Bruno, you wanna make a couple bucks? I will give you a percentage, a finder's fee for every lead that you give me that we sell our unit. Now, why would he do that? Well, one, it's good money because, he ain't making a dime right now because there's nothing he's got to sell. But every one of his people, we're gonna give them a special discount to play in our field. So he's got, and a lot of those guys that have been in there for 10 years, they've outgrown that facility. So we're gonna give them the opportunity to go from the Volkswagen to the Mercedes. Some of those will pull. I believe in my soul that we're gonna have people waiting
Yeah.
and bidding the doggone buildings up instead of
It
one.
might go
over some.
in one phase. I mean,
I want-
whatever the market asks for, and we are just basically getting ready to have the pitch kit, and one of the biggest things is, I'd like to triangulate location and say, okay, if we did it in Montrose, it would look like this. Who's raising their hand for there? We got a place up in Big Lake, who would raise their hand there? We got a place in Jordan that we're looking at, who would raise their hand there, and let the market dictate, and maybe it's all three, we don't know. But right now, we're just finding out, where do we have permission to do it first? And then, that's the next phase for us, is now we got
On
the
the
market.
brochure, folks, that is our layout for the Big Lake system. They've already basically approved us. The challenge with the Big Lake site is a couple. One, it's bigger lot than we need, but more land we can always use, we can sell it off. But it has no sewer and water. But I do have, I do have contractors that have given me a bid to put in septic systems and wells, and along with my solar panel, product, we could, and the geothermal heat, we could be off the grid. That's a heck of a selling point too. So, we, like John said, maybe we'll have two of them, I don't know.
Well, and to John's point earlier, I mean, if each one of the car clubs buys one unit, that's 40 units right there. Maybe 50 units right there.
He's gotta sell them before we build them, guys. That's what his job is. He's gonna earn his money. But I don't see it as being a challenge. I see it as, okay, you got X amount, which one do you want?
All across the state, I'll tell you this as a builder, wherever they're building these new housing developments, there's storage facilities right next door. And there's a reason for that. Because these housing developments, they don't have enough storage, and the associations won't allow them to put their RVs and their boats and you name it. So these people that are saving money moving into a community that has an association, these are the people that are gonna need, not just want, but need a place to store their stuff. And so what better place than,
Well, we have it right here. We have 1,600 square feet of private, storage area with a privacy fence. We have off-street parking for up to, a parking pad of 600 square feet. By the way, those two outside areas are gonna be thermal heated. So that, I talked to my geothermal guy. He said, I can run 10 feet of pipe out there, to help melt the ice. So there's nothing out there like that, period.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be storage units beside the
No,
complex?
no, outside,
Okay, I just wanna make sure I was
No, no, no.
understanding.
No.
Not what you might be thinking.
no, right
No,
here.
okay, well, I'm just thinking our
Blow up a
community,
garage door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, no.
Not like that, no.
You know,
That'd be part of the lot.
the,
People that are club racers have towing rigs and other stuff, and they'd have a place to have that next to their facility if they want it,
Mhm.
or even be able to fit it inside if they want to.
Yeah, some of these, there are some individuals that are running their business from their storage, their car condos.
Facilities, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't speak for everybody in the room, but I'm intrigued. In respect to our business owners, Sonia and Matt over there, we're gonna call the meeting here pretty quick. Are there any other questions you may have, as long as we have a captive audience here?
I have two, do you use local tradesmen for this project?
definitely. I want to support the local players. Matter of fact, the contractor that I want, that is bidding, if he ever gives me my bid, is Haas Plumbing,
Okay,
Hollis.
Yeah.
And he knows the gentleman that owns the land, and he, you know, he just told me that he just worked on 500 of his units to, you know, do the plumbing. Yeah, the excavator that, here again, it's the time of the year where these poor guys are trying to close deals. That's why they won't give me bids, because they're so busy trying to finish stuff up. Is work excavating out of Big Lake. The gentleman that I, you know, the geothermal dude, he's out of here too. So, yeah, I want to play with the locals. That way everybody wins.
so with that in mind, you entertain local people approaching you? I know somebody who works on the Autoplex in Medina, likes to do the electrician part of it, and so that's why I'm curious.
Oh, yeah,
And he is a car guy too.
you'd be surprised how many car guys are out there.
That's right, a lot of them are closet car guys, but
Oh, they don't have any. Okay, one of the things, and I hate to bring this up, but I've been told by people with money that I should take this concept to the casinos and let them do the whole doggone thing. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. But they could sell this thing in a heartbeat. They got their land, they got, you know, they got their own
Playground right next door.
playground, and I see this, for them, I would market it as the bucket list
Access one.
program. Daddy brings the Ferrari and mommy and the kids go down and play at the Mall of America, and wham bam, it's all done. But I've heard about, there's some challenges with that concept, so I'd rather play with the local players.
When I was 11, I got a skateboard, 1985. At 12, I learned how to do tricks on a skateboard, because I watched some superheroes on a DVD, and I'm like, wow, these guys are in, you know, they're in California, they're in all these empty swimming pools doing all these tricks, and I'm like, chicks are gonna dig this. So I get, you know, enraptured in creating my skill set on a skateboard. Then you venture out of your own neighborhood because you're looking for obstacles. So you go out to wherever, and I could hear a mantra for the next 2 to 3 years. Hey, kid, you can't do that here. And then I go, well, where can I do it? I don't know, but you can't do it here. And one of the places that we went to look was Watertown. A very similar setup to this, where, you know, development communities ended right there. There's 120 acres right next to it, farmland. And I noticed that they had a skate park there. You know, I'm like, God, just rubbing it in my face. As soon as I hang up my skateboard, there's skateboard parks everywhere. I mean, I don't know how you get through the liability of cracking your skull there, but they have them, right? Now, when I drove through Watertown, I was thinking to myself, I don't know where the first skate park was. But I can tell you this, as kids, if we found out wherever the first skate park was, people are flooding to that city to go to that skate park because it's the first one and it's the only one. And I look at this as that. I don't know where the first one's gonna be, but there's only gonna be one when there is the first, playground. I look at this in the picture that I wanna put in people's mind is the X-Game motocross guys that are trying to do the double backflip in the air, and land and say, sorry mom, before you start. Sorry mom, you have to watch me, I almost killed myself. They perform there, but that's not where they practice. They practice with the giant swimming pool, Olympic-sized pool full of foam rubber. Because, it's, once it's rep 100, you might go out to some place where if you land it wrong, it hurts a lot. But the first 100 laps, do it somewhere where if you mess up, you just go, okay, get back in line. It might be a little tire streak there, and you might have to buff a cone, off of your car, but that's it. And the world hasn't experienced that, but I think it's going to be more popular than I think it is in my mind, and it's very popular in my mind to go do that where no one yells at you. You have more fun than you thought you were going to. I drag people here. Bo hasn't been in the seat yet, but Dave's been in passenger seat and driver's seat. And I wouldn't even call him a car guy, but I think, people, it's more fun than Valley Fair because Valley Fair, you kind of know. The roller coaster kind of makes it through every time. Out there, it's
up to you.
You don't really know how it's going.
Oh my God.
And you're even as a passenger, it's exciting. So I know your guys' time is valuable, and this is just the first handshake, but appreciate, the audience.
I do have a sample back here if you guys want to look at it, hold it, inspect it. So I just set it back here. One thing I did want to say that I don't remember hearing was the kind of caliber of people that typically come to places like this have a lot of money, and they are willing to spend it in the community everywhere they go. So, I've got a cabin up in Breezy Point. When we go to Brainerd, there is a lot of money there. My neighbor, I live right in Corcoran. My neighbor, right across from me, he's been doing this since he was, I think, 12 or 13. I think he's in his 70s now. And he goes every single weekend, and he has, it blows my mind how much money he throws at that. Because I'm not a race car guy. I'm not a race car, but I'm not, big car guy. I got a truck. But it's cool. If there was a place like that, I would utilize it. Exactly. Yeah. I rolled my truck when I was in high school, and I didn't have the experience. And if I had a place to practice like this,
I got 6 kids, and they always learn by doing, but my daughter, she totaled 2 cars?
Yeah, my sister.
She's also a racer, by the way. She's now doing it in this environment, and she almost kicks his butt, but not quite yet.
No, there's something about driving on 169 and driving home. It's night, going 65, 70, whatever traffic's going. Deer comes down the road in front of me, going 65. Now, I practice hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, going in between slaloms at 65 miles an hour, or I'm getting this close to the cone. So in my brain, I go to a file going obstacle, miss obstacle, parameter, 3 feet, 3 feet's good, okay? So I gotta miss it by 3 feet. I move over maybe 1.5 feet. I'm still in my lane. Go by deer, deer goes off the road, I'm fine, okay? My sister, untrained, gets her first new car, 2004 Mazda
Thank God she had
3.
the the.
Sporty little thing, she's
Pay
super
for
happy
it.
first month. She's getting on the freeway somewhere and some critter jumps in front of her and she does something to miss it. Called overkill. And then she does something to try to get it back,
Correct.
which is more than overkill. And next thing you know, she's spinning and hits an embankment and she doesn't have a car payment anymore because the car is towed. Okay? Now, I hope most people never need something in their arsenal, in their brain, to avoid. But you don't want to come up with something on the fly. If you've done this in this environment before you get out on the road, you have a file in your brain you can go to. If you don't, panic is the only thing that's there, and it's not the best counselor in the world.
It's not.
Well, I'm probably 10 laps away from going, this is okay versus,
I want to let you go, I know. Do I hear a
No,
motion
I'm
to?
okay.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn from either you or Matt?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
so- Meeting adjourned. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off,
That's all
but I have to respect our business owners.
yeah, no, I'm one of them too. I got a
Yeah.
base to get back to.
There's the product
Well-
on the floor, Dane, take a look.